Well, everyone, the Democrats are doing their best to fight against the Republicans, if you could really call it fighting. I've always had a respect for the Democrats for the fact that they could have always just done what the Republicans did. They could have always just invested immense amounts of money into corrupting politics in their own favor. They've watched as the Republicans have done it. They could just copy the Republicans, and yet they never did. And yet they continue to, uphold and try to push forward, the standard of what is progressive. Not very revolutionarily or anything. It's very much following what the progressive demographics in this country would vote for. But regardless of that, the Dems have a lot of respect from me. They also take a lot of respect, or not a lot of respect, a lot of criticism from me. And probably the biggest, at least the most relevant for today's segment, is the fact that they're kinda spineless and kinda I really don't know what words I could say to describe it. The Dems think that if they demonstrate how much they oppose the Republicans will be like, oh my god, they oppose us so much. Let's not engage in corrupt behavior. Let's not do that. Look how much we're upsetting them. And I think this is a really good example of that. When I say the Democrats are fighting the Republicans, it's not really much of a fight. Let me tell you what's going on. Democrats boycott first day of Minnesota House session, but the GOP votes to appoint Speaker anyway. Because whenever the Democrats take the high road, the Republicans will just go and take the low road, because why not? They're a party who's made it honestly, a virtue to be against the rules, to want to bend and corrupt the establishment to serve your own ends, in order to just reach no other goal than just victory. That's the only goal, is victory. The right needs to win, the left needs to lose. And they're willing to do that at any cost. All the while, the Democrats are like, no, we have to follow protocol, we have to follow procedure. Not always, to be clear. Not always. The Democrats definitely can do some shitty stuff. Don't get me wrong. But compared to the Republicans, I mean, it's a different league entirely. It's hardly comparable. House Democrats boycotted the opening day of Minnesota's 2025 legislative session Tuesday in an effort to stop Republicans from exploiting a temporary one-seat majority to remove one of their members. But GOP representatives forged ahead anyway and named their leader as Speaker in a move that Democrats vowed to challenge in court. The Republicans don't have an ideology that they are trying to achieve. They have a goal. Over the last few years, it's become more and more evident that every other ideological purpose and goal the right has been set to the wayside in exchange for victory. The primary goal, set way above anything else, is victory. That is all that matters. This is why we're seeing white supremacists allying with people of color in order to push white supremacy and help get Trump elected. Because they're willing to look past any individual disagreements or ideological disparities if it means that their cooperation creates a guaranteed path to victory for the right, and most importantly, because this is the core of a lot of right-wing culture, especially online these days, which is where this era of right-wing dominance has come from, the internet. Specifically, it's hating the left. More than anything else, more than any ideological thing, you have to hate the left. You have to own the libs. That is the primary goal. The right must win, the left must lose. And the Dems just don't have those same priorities. I mean, it feels like the Dems would actively, accept Donald Trump telling them, you need to step down. We're appointing new people in your position. I'm the president. I've said everyone says that I have the power to tell you to do this. Do it, or we're gonna put you in jail. We're gonna put you in jail. Do it, or we're gonna put you in jail. He could say that, and they would all agree to do it, and their response would be to look at the camera of the news reporters and to say, we don't we condemn this. We do not support this. I hope that America is watching today. I hope they're paying attention. I hope they see what's happening here and they fight. I hope that it's like, just nothing. It's nothing platitudes. At least to the people that need to receive the proper message and feel the impetus to do something, they're nothing arguments. These are meaningless platitudes. Democrats don't have the balls to take up populist arms against MAGA fascists like cowards. We need people to get into the Huey Long rhythm if we're going to move forward. We gotta humiliate them by organizing our own industries that phase them out if they're going to triumph over them, or if we're going to triumph over them. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I've been saying for a while now. We have to outbeat them at their own game. They just more quickly embraced emergent tech and social media than the left did. The right dominated social media. As the world flocked to social media, COVID really made it so that I don't think anyone isn't on the internet now. Like, I think everyone's on the internet now after COVID. And so, with the internet being predominantly chock full of right-wing misinformation, it only follows the majority of voters would be swayed by it. And yes, the majority of voting Americans supported this. And they'll probably continue to support it for a depressing amount of time. If not until Trump's first term is over. Or not first, but his first of probably many more, let's be real. He is going to try to run for a third term, and he probably will be able to. Simon announced they had not reached the 68 members needed for a quorum, declared the chamber adjourned, and left. But Republicans stayed in their seats, saying that with 67 members present, they had a quorum. That is just... I feel like this story is the perfect example of this tendency from the Dems. The Dems think fighting is getting up and leaving as the Republicans stay and continue to destroy the thing you were trying to protect. Abstaining from the situation is not a valid form of protest or even a form of harm reduction. Was there anything they could have done anyway? I don't know. We'll find out probably from this article, but it's disappointing, you know? They then voted to elect their top member, former Minority Leader Lisa DeMuth of Cold Springs, as Speaker, a move that Democrats, of course, immediately denounced as an unlawful sham with no legal authority. The key sticking point is whether Republicans will make good on a threat to refuse to seat incumbent Democrat Representative Brad Tabke of Shakopee? That is an amazing name, and I'm moving there. Who won re-election by 14 votes even after local elections officials said 20 ballots were accidentally destroyed without being counted. A judge earlier Tuesday declared that Tabke was the legal winner and rejected a GOP effort to force a special election in the swing district that they potentially could have won. The House came out of the November election tied 67 to 67. And top leaders from both parties started to work out a power-sharing agreement that presumed a tie. But a different judge late last month declared that a newly elected Democrat in another heavily Democratic district didn't really live there? Dude, did they live gerrymander to oust a sitting representative from their congressional seat? They changed the shape of a district in order to say, you don't live in the district you represent? Ooh, empty seat now. Ooh, we just put one of our guys in charge. Ooh, that's what we do. We're Republicans. It's all about winning. They are above nothing. There are no lows they will not stoop to. Any lows you can imagine that they haven't stooped to is a low they just haven't stooped to just yet. The very concept of districts is corruption. Dog, my buddy Ethan, when he lived in Texas, he lived in a district that when you looked at it on a map, It was the shape of a pair of gaming headphones, like what I'm wearing now. Like, it had one bulbous part, and then there was, like, this, like, arching up area, and then it came back down to another bulbous part. I have no clue. What the fuck is going on there? But yeah. It's pretty bad, guys. As a Minnesotan, the state didn't gerrymander. It didn't. Well, we'll have to continue reading and find out exactly what they did. Maybe it was just a judge, a potentially corrupt judge, ruling completely falsely, I guess, that this seat was held by a ineligible position, and it just so happens that they were a Democrat. It was a clerical error that the DFL didn't think to check if he lived in his district. He lived a mile outside. Oh, what? Isn't there, like, maps online? Man, that feels like a rookie mistake. Jesus. I guess in this case, the Republicans didn't do anything shady to facilitate this. They took an opportunity and immediately did something shady the second it came up. The top House Democrat, former Speaker Melissa Hortman of Brooklyn Park, said at a news conference in Tabke's district in Shakopee that Republicans would not commit in final negotiations to letting Tabke keep his seat. Of course the Republicans. Leave it... Of course not. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Leave it into the Republicans' hands. I'm sure they'll do something fair and kind to the Democrats. Hortman said she had proposed letting DeMuth become Speaker for the full session, but otherwise revert to an earlier power-sharing agreement, assuming that the special elections restores the tie. But she said DeMuth would not rule out taking action to move against Tabke at some point. Mind you, DeMuth is this Republican. So, like, she is actively just making a power grab for, like, Speaker here. Like, this is just a blatant power grab propped up by the Republican representatives. DeMuth vowed, in an acceptance speech, to work tirelessly to foster a culture of respect and civility, quote-unquote, in the House. But she didn't directly mention the boycott. We owe it to the people that we represent to debate passionately, but we also owe them the respect of agreeing that sometimes we do disagree, she said. So let's focus on what unites us. I really hate how Republicans have gotten so good at saying things that everyone agrees with. Like, you guys might have become so conditioned to recognize these talking points as, like, dog whistles or just nonsense or virtue signaling, and, you know, you don't even recognize it, but, like, look at the text of what they say and recognize that most people do not look at the subtext. They don't look for hidden meaning or any potential reason why a person like this might be lying. They hear someone say stuff like this that sounds so universally agreeable, and they assume that the left, the other side, must be against these things. Remember, by the way, one of the most common talking points that Trump tried to push about Biden was that Biden was divisive, that he was dividing the country, which is ironically just him ripping the same talking points that were the most prevalent about him during the 2020 election. That Trump is dividing America. I think it was more in 2016, actually. Regardless. Quote, we owe it to the people that we represent... Oh, sorry, I read that line. Republicans then adjourned until Wednesday. The number 2 Republican leader, Representative Harry Niska of Ramsey, told reporters afterward that Simon, as a member of the executive branch, is barred by the constitutional separation of powers from controlling the work of the House. But House Democrats said the GOP actions were illegal and that DeMuth is not Speaker. Simon said in a statement that he intends to ask the Minnesota Supreme Court to rule that the GOP moves were not legitimate. Quote, I anticipate that the court will provide clarity both on that issue and on the understanding that the person who holds the Secretary of State's office is the presiding officer until a speaker is legally elected, an event which has not yet occurred, Simon said. Oh. You know, that Associated Press writer, when he was like, Simon said. Absolute cinema. Perfect. He did say. What did he say? Fuck, I gotta do what he told me. Anyway. Where were we? What the hell? Did I, like, scroll down immensely? Yeah, oh, there we are. Okay. It's unclear how long the courts might take to resolve the dispute. This is the first time the Minnesota legislature has faced such a boycott, but similar stalling tactics have been used elsewhere. Democrats in neighboring Wisconsin went into hiding in 2011 in a standoff with majority Republicans over union rights for public employees. Oregon Republicans staged multiple walkouts in recent years, including a record 6-week walkout in 2023 over bills on abortion, gender-affirming care, and gun rights. Now, the Dems do these things because when the Republicans do it, it's them throwing a temper tantrum, and it works on the Democrats. It forces the Democrats into a situation where they have to compromise with the Republicans. And maybe the Republicans don't get everything they wanted, but they get a lot of what they wanted. They get any of what they wanted, which is always a bad thing and should never have been allowed to happen in the first place. But the Dems tend to give in. It's like a crying child in a grocery store that wants candy and, like, the parent gives in. That's how the Republicans are with their protest when they're not the majority, when they don't hold damn near unanimous power over what happens. And when the Democrats are the, like, underdog, they repeat the same behavior, but the problem is the Republicans don't care. They aren't going to see your protest and go, oh, let's make a compromise like you're willing to. Like, the thing the Dems need to realize, if they haven't already, is they are real, actual, sincere people dealing with basically automatons that are fueled by hate and programmed to maximize the amount of suffering and hate possible. And they will lie, and they will say and do anything possible to achieve their objective. And that includes pretending to be civil. And if you play into their facade, you are basically signing yourself up, for failure. You're signing yourself up to lose. The high-stakes poker in the Minnesota House contrasts with the calm that prevailed Tuesday in the state Senate, which is tied 33-33, pending a January 28th special election to fill the seat of a deceased senator. That's expected to restore the Democrats' 34-33 majority. So slim, though, man. It's not looking good just anywhere. Like, anywhere you look right now, even globally, it's just not looking good, you know? Senate leaders quietly reached a power-sharing deal that includes co-presiding officers from both parties. The polarization in the House raises interesting and unresolved legal questions, said David Schultz, professor of political science at Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. Quote, "We are in uncharted legal territory," Schultz said, because language in the state's constitution and laws is ambiguous and there aren't any definitive answers. It's also not clear whether the state's courts can intervene to resolve the infighting of the legislative branch of government, Schultz said, of whether Republicans would have to abide by a judicial opinion if they did so. Quote, "It's starting off intensely ugly," Schultz said, "and it's not going to bode well for the rest of the session." Man. Across the country, even on a local level, the Republicans are making very shameless power grabs, and they're succeeding. These are scary times, everyone. I don't really know if we can say the current Democrat Party is capable of fighting the Republicans politically in the way that they need to. And I don't even know how they can. Don't ask me what way they need to, but this does not seem like it's working. And I don't think that's a hot take to say that it's not. A different strategy is necessary, but maybe what they're hoping is that by being so clearly the underdog, the American people, as all these problems start to pile on them throughout Trump's coming term, the American people will realize what a mistake they made by electing Trump, and just seeing the Democrats step back and say, it's in the Republicans' hands now. Everything that happens, it's on them. Maybe it's their long game goal to try and destroy the Republicans forever. But it would be a massive risk if that was the case. It would be a huge gamble. We need to form a socialist or labor party separate from the Dems, since the Dems are too incompetent to do anything effective. A third party is very unlikely to succeed in America. We don't have first-past-the-post voting, or we have first-past-the-post voting, not ranked choice voting. That makes it very difficult for any third party to get ahead anywhere other than on a specific local level. Like, splitting progressive votes more is not a good idea, trust me. Then what do we do, Zan? We do what the left has always done when the Republicans gain power and America suffers. What did the Dems do when Bush got elected? What did Dem voters, progressives, leftists, just people on the left in general, what did they do when Bush got elected? Well, we saw an unprecedented explosion in late-night talk comedy, like Tonight Show type stuff, that heavily focused on news and talking about how Republicans, primarily, are fucking over the average working-class American. Comedians started to lean more towards progressive, because if you are a comedian and you're making jokes, you make jokes about the reality of things, how fucked up the reality of things are. That's most comedians. And what better material to pull from than the absurd situation that we were in of a shitty Republican asshole essentially using a very short stint of populist support to lock in his power, as he then proceeded to put in place a shitload of unpopular policies that would not only lead to a restriction on Americans' freedoms, but later on would then result in a massive, I think the biggest, since the Great Depression at the time, recession. In 2007, we had a big recession. It lasted until like 2010. Like, the economy didn't really recover fully until, like, 2010? 2012, maybe? Not until the next election, if I remember right. This stuff has just happened a million times. This is really nothing new. What we have to do, our strategy is, we call this shit out, alright? My job is that I bitch about what the Republicans are doing on the internet, okay? I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to try to get better at doing it. And hopefully I will reach more people, potentially more normies, and they hear my bitching and they say, huh, this guy's got a point. I'm kind of pissed about this too. And maybe they end up being a progressive voter who helps us to keep these people out of power, so we, as a country, can start to focus on looking forward and improving our lives and improving our country, improving our status, and improving our quality of life, and not trying to constantly fight a magnetic force trying to pull us back. But hey, that's just my plan. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. Every single thumbs up and comment is extremely helpful and supportive. It is the best way to boost my channel in the algorithm, and it's totally free, so I really do appreciate it. Consider leaving a sub as well if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon too, so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below in the description. To see me on other platforms, follow my Blue Sky and join my fan Discord, where I will be hosting a watch party after stream tonight in the Xander Hall's Theater section of my Discord server. We're finishing up Arcane Season 2 and probably watching a bit more Cyberpunk Edgerunners. We'll see. We're starting a bit late tonight, so we'll see what we have time for. But regardless, finally, If you feel like it, if you can afford it, and you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially with a donation through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or even buy some Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me though, thank you so much for watching as always, and have a good one.